with coverage you can count on. This is Channel 3 Eyewitness News at 6.
Good evening, I'm Cameron Taylor. Thank you for joining us tonight. We begin with a developing story out of Fort Oglethorpe. We're told a body was found in an SUV this morning. Here's what we know at this hour. The car was found in a strip mall parking lot on Lafayette Road. Agents with the GBI are also investigating the case. We'll continue to follow this story and bring you more information as it comes into our newsroom. We now know who led Tennessee Highway Patrol troopers on a chase into Hamilton County on Friday. The THP arrested 34-year-old Jeremy Woods. He faces several charges, including aggravated assault. After he crashed his motorcycle into a trooper's patrol car, we're told he ran off into the woods where he was found with a gun to his head. A trooper tried to calm him down, but was forced to fire 2 shots at him when they say he pointed a gun at the trooper. Woods wasn't hurt. He's expected to be in court later this week. Well, new details about a crash early this morning on I-75 South that sent several people to the hospital. We're told it happened around 1:30 and involved 2 tractor trailers and 5 cars. East Ridge Fire Chief Michael Williams says one person was hit as he got out of his car and was thrown over a guardrail. 3 people were taken to the hospital. One of the patients is in critical condition. Williams says the road was closed for about an hour as crews cleaned up a diesel leak. It's unclear what caused the crash. And we're also learning more about the deadly crash on Bonnie Oaks Drive from last night that involved a pickup truck and motorcycle. Chattanooga police tell us the motorcycle ran into the back of the truck while it was stopped behind other cars. We're told the motorcyclist, 47-year-old Kirk Paragon, died from his injuries. The driver of the truck wasn't hurt. Police say this crash is still under investigation. And the day started off with some rain, but cleared up for a nice afternoon. And Nick, what can we expect for the rest of the night?
Yeah, the big question that a few people have had for me is, where was the rain this morning? It just missed downtown.
Okay.
We're expecting to at least see some rain right over the city, but it was out in East Brainerd this morning, up towards Ooltewah, Collegedale, and points eastward. There was a lot of heavy rain out in the Blue Ridge today, parts of Polk County down into northeast Georgia and over towards Murphy. But yeah, even all of that faded by early afternoon. So not a whole lot is happening right now. We'll just focus in on a couple of spots here and there. Up in parts of Ray and Bledsoe counties, we're just getting some isolated showers popping up, moving through Dayton and just south of Spring City, just to the east of Pikeville right now. So there's not really a whole lot going on at this point. There's no lightning with this. All it is just a few heavy heavy cells of rain, I should say. And back in Middle Tennessee, a few rain cells popping up here and there down near Huntsville. So it's very, very isolated at this point. Cold front moving through the area, helping to fire up some of these showers. We could see more of these scattered showers as we go through the evening, and then they'll fade out later tonight heading into Monday. We'll see some pleasant weather for tomorrow, but another big batch of rain could hit part of the viewing area for Monday night. And I'll have more on that coming up in just a bit.
All right, thank you, Nick. We'll check back in with you later in the show. Thousands of athletes line Chattanooga's riverfront for this year's Ironman 70.3. Athletes come from all over the world, ranging from pro to amateur. Channel 3's Tanisha Cordell introduces us to this year's champions after several hours of competition.
It was a gloomy start, but the sun shined bright as athletes crossed the finish line. A perfect ending for the champions of this year's Ironman 70.3. After a top 5 finish last year, Matthew Russell took the win in 3 hours and 57 minutes.
I had to dig deep for that run, so it hurt just as bad in a different way. But it was a good hurt.
A win he secured after trailing 7 minutes behind in second place.
I feel like throughout the race I started getting faster and faster, kind of playing catch up. But I mean, when you come in first, you can't really complain too much.
Heather Jackson defended her title about 18 minutes later.
I knew it was going to be so tough, and the bike is my strength, so I just tried to go all out on the bike and see if I could hold on in the run, and Sarah was coming fast, so I was just, so happy I could hold on.
The course took more than 3,000 athletes for a 1-mile swim along the Tennessee River, a scenic 56-mile bike ride through North Georgia, and a 13-mile run through downtown Chattanooga. Though rain clouds hovered, it didn't stop the race.
If it was like lightning and thundering, that would have been horrible. So we got so lucky, and it's awesome. I mean, it was literally perfect racing condition.
After 70.3 miles, Jackson says it's the fans and Chattanooga's Southern hospitality that makes competing so special.
I love Chattanooga. It reminds me of my hometown. It's Bend, Oregon. It's pretty similar. People here are so nice. Everyone's so friendly. Great food, great bars, and all the fans out there are just like, it was covered the whole course. It was awesome.
The Scenic City will host the 2017 Ironman 70.3 World Championships in September, followed by the full Ironman later that month. Now we have a full list of results on our website, WRCBTV.com. In Chattanooga, Tanisha Cordell, Channel 3 Eyewitness News.
Thank you, Tanisha. Just incredible right there. Chattanooga will be the first city in the world to host a full Ironman and Ironman 70.3 and both the men's and women's Ironman 70.3 World Championships in the same year. Well, up next on Eyewitness News at 6, dozens of graduates and family members silently stood and walked out today as Vice President Mike Pence began his address at Notre Dame's commencement ceremony.
Coming up, I'll let you know if we'll see any more rain for tonight or as you head back to school, or to work, I should say, on Monday. A lot of the schools are going to be out this week, especially in Hamilton County. School's over. But anyway, I'll have your 7-day forecast and all the details coming up in just a bit.
Welcome back. Vice President Mike Pence addressed the graduating class of Notre Dame today, but some graduates were outraged over the school's choice of speaker. Dozens of protesters in their caps and gowns chose to walk out of the ceremony. Here's NBC's Dan Sheneman with the story.
When Vice President Mike Pence began his address to Notre Dame's graduates, dozens of students protested with their feet. Pence was invited after thousands of students signed a petition asking the university not to invite President Trump. During his speech, Pence tried to draw parallels between the university and the Trump administration.
And just as Notre Dame has stood for those who are persecuted for their faith around the world, just a short while ago in Saudi Arabia, this president spoke out against religious persecution of all people of all faiths.
But the vice president's attempts to find common ground did not sit well with protesters, angry over issues ranging from LGBT rights to immigration.
Part of my family is undocumented. And so being in a stadium with someone who has pursued policies that have targeted them for being who they are.
I want to look back on it as a moment where I was able to stand up for what I believe in.
The vice president's critics had critics of their own.
Well, I think it's embarrassing, and I think it's kind of an indictment of the way that our educational system has turned from a place where you have a free discourse of ideas to a place where if you hear something you don't agree with, you run away.
The vice president did not comment on the walkout. Dan Sheneman, NBC News.
We have a narrow miss caught on camera. A Washington State police officer finds himself 11 seconds from possible death. Pasco police officer Raul Cavazos pulled up to a driver who wasn't taking her opportunity to drive through a four-way stop to explain the situation. As the officer got back into his patrol car, you can see two other cars collide in the intersection. The PT Cruiser is sent flying into the air and lands right where Officer Cavazos had been standing just moments before. You see that collision right there. No word on any injuries. That collision is under investigation by a separate officer. And dash cam video from Milwaukee, Wisconsin shows exactly how dangerous a chase turned when it went through the suburbs. Take a look at this video. You can see the Brown Deer police try to pull over a stolen car when it speeds off. And from there, dash cam video shows just how wild it gets. The driver blows through the stop sign, misses a car, and drives on the wrong side of the street, and then goes right up into a sidewalk, driving in between houses. Later, another officer joins in. You see the car weave around the sides of cars accelerating over the 35-mile-per-hour speed limit. The driver pulls into a subdivision, winds around the cul-de-sac, and collides with the officer's cruiser. The suspects were later found by police and arrested. There were 5 suspects arrested. They are between the ages of 16 to 18. Up next in Eyewitness News at 6, a recall of a famous summertime food, and it's day 2 of President Trump's visit overseas. We'll have the latest.
With coverage you can count on, this is Channel 3 Eyewitness News at 6 in HD.
President Donald Trump addressed Muslim leaders gathered in Saudi Arabia today, calling on them to help combat a crisis of Islamic terror extremism emanating from the region. NBC's Hallie Jackson reports from Riyadh, Saudi Arabia.
President Trump is wrapping up day 2 of his first international trip as president, and the most significant part of it was a speech he delivered earlier today to more than 50 Middle Eastern leaders. In it, the president talked about the need to combat extremism abroad, putting the burden, he said, on Muslim nations to, in his words, drive them out.
There is still much work to be done. That means honestly confronting the crisis of Islamic extremism and the Islamists and Islamic terror of all kinds.
It was a notably softer tone regarding Islam than what we have seen from President Trump before, even as he had tough words against Iran, something that is sure to be received well by his Saudi hosts.
For decades, Iran has fueled the fires of sectarian conflict and terror. It is a government that speaks openly of mass murder, vowing the destruction of Israel, death to America, and ruin for many leaders and nations in this very room.
The president heads to Israel tomorrow for a trip that is certain to be full of diplomatic landmines. Hallie Jackson, NBC News, Riyadh.
If you're getting ready to fire up the grill to roast some hot dogs, listen up. We have a recall to tell you about. The company that makes Nathan's and Curtis hot dogs is recalling more than 200,000 of the products after getting complaints of metal found in the packages. A spokesperson for John Morrell and Company says the organization has received 3 complaints and notified the federal government. That was on Friday. There have been no confirmed reports of injuries or adverse reactions from the products. We have a list of the products posted on our website and inside the WRCB app. Well, meteorologist Nick Austin is standing by, and Nick, it's been feeling like summer lately, huh?
It has. Wasn't quite as hot as the past few days, but still quite warm. We have mostly cloudy skies out there right now as we have our view towards Lookout Mountain from our live downtown Holiday Inn camera. And we got enough sunshine today to get temperatures a few degrees above 80 degrees. Right now we're at 82 in the city, but especially from Dalton up to Murphy and points eastward, temperatures have been holding in the 70s because there's more cloud cover. They had heavy rain in those spots earlier today. 79 Dalton, 75 Blue Ridge. Up in Dayton, it's about 77. So things did quiet down. Again, the rain this morning just missed downtown, and it was the bulk of it was east of us. And now we're just getting some very isolated showers popping up, mainly to the north of the city. Not a lot of lightning and wind with these, but certainly a few cells of heavy rain. There are some more back in Middle Tennessee as a cold front starts to move through the area. There's drier air behind that front, and that's going to clear out a lot of the cloud cover and the rain chances by late tonight into early tomorrow, and we'll see even more sun coming back for Monday. But for tonight, again, we could see some scattered showers and more spots popping up, but the bulk of the widespread rain, any heavy storms, will be well off to the south of us, where it is right now across Mississippi and down towards the Gulf Coast. So high pressure rebuilding tomorrow will give us a nice start to the work week. So anything that redevelops through the evening will just die off during the overnight hours, and then we'll see a mix of sun and clouds for tomorrow. Another wave of rain will come in tomorrow night, though, during the late evening and overnight hours tomorrow night. The bulk of that rainfall, especially the heaviest, will be south of the city again across portions of North Georgia and out towards Murphy. And then that's going to fade out as we head to the afternoon hours on Tuesday. So it's going to be another situation probably tomorrow night into Tuesday where the bulk of the rain just misses Chattanooga, Cleveland, and a lot of areas to the north, and most of it's going to be off to the southeast in Georgia and over into Murphy. Just 0.03 of an inch of rainfall today at the airport, and we're in a surplus for the year so far by more than 4.5 inches. Topped out at 83 for a high after a low of 68. And these are mostly 2-day rain totals for our Skywatchers of 1.4 for Dalton and for Varnell as well. 1.2 in Tryon. Chatsworth had 1.6, an inch and a half for Fort Mountain. So some pretty big rain totals. These are basically 24-hour rain totals because the rain started at about this time yesterday. 1.3 Blue Ridge. Ringgold had almost an inch and a half at 1.4. Lookout Mountain 1 inch even, and 1.1 for Spring City. Cagle had an inch and a half. Colmont had 0.6. 0.8 in Jasper, and out in Murphy, downtown, had 1.1. Now we're not going to see a rain like we had last night where it's widespread and really heavy for a while, but we'll see scattered, just hit and miss showers across the area. Maybe some rumbles of thunder, 64 for the low. Tomorrow here in the city, just an early raindrop or two, and then sunshine with a high of 81. Tomorrow night, though, rain returns. The heaviest stuff will be south, 61 in the city. And your 7-day forecast, At least right here in the city, we will see a chance again for some early rain on Tuesday. The bulk of that rain on Tuesday, though, will be south of us in Georgia, and we'll hit a high of 79 and then low 70s with more rain across the whole area, I think, for Wednesday. I think we're almost all going to see rain for a while on Wednesday. And then we'll cool off later in the week, low 50s by Friday morning, highs only in the 70s for Thursday, then back to the 80s for the weekend. We could see some off and on showers, though, for Memorial Day weekend. We'll keep an eye on that.
Okay, that's good to know. All right, well, here's a story that we've been watching in the newsroom. A sea lion looking for a snack snatches a girl from a dock on Canada's west coast. It happened in an instant in British Columbia yesterday. Take a look here. The girl sits down and the sea lion just moves in right there. Wow. A man jumps in and saves the girl, who appears to be okay, and walks away with an adult. The animal likely thought the girl's dress was a tasty treat, according to a marine mammal expert. A witness says people were feeding the sea lion breadcrumbs shortly before it snatched the child. Coming up next in sports, the Lady Mocs basketball team is losing one of their key starters next season. Jill Jelnick has the latest. Plus, the Braves look to sweep the Nationals today and picked up a new first baseman over the weekend. We have all that and more when we come back.